G'day viewers, hope you got a cuppa. Because we're going to get into the first Train Sim World 4 roadmap since the release. In the next 0 to 3 months, we can expect a winter core update, formation designer, and suspension improvements. So that'll be summer for the Aussies. Add-ons, Maintelbahn, Aschaffenburg, Miltenberg. That's a big words. Partner releases, Blackpool branches, Preston, Blackpool and Ormskirk from Just Trains. A CH route, so Swiss route from Rivet Games. A gameplay pack by 2 from Rivet Games. Patches, some post-release improvements. We've already got a video on those just going up now. There'll be in 4 to 6 months, another US route, another UK route, and another German route. There will be partner routes, a UK route by Rivet Games, and a Loco pack from a new partner. There is the editor, so version 2 of the editor will come out. 6 months from now, we'll have an Austrian route, a German route, a US route, a US Loco, a German Loco, and there will be partner releases, another Loco pack from a new partner, and editor version 3. Release dates to be confirmed. The DVVR 420, still there. In fairness, TSG's kind of busy doing core work. There'll be a route from a Union Workshop, a route from Alan Thompson Simulation, and a Colin Arkin timetable update. We should probably scroll down a bit. Oops, opened the box instead. Alrighty, let's go through the TLDR, too long didn't read summary. A quick summary for those that don't want to go through the whole article, so I'll read this as usual to improve the accessibility of the information for those who can't or won't read it here. And you'll be able to just switch off at the end of the TLDR if you want to. If you want more details and pictures and juicy bits, keep going. There's going to be a new route, announcing our first new German route for Train Sim World 4. They don't say what it is though. There will be the Blackpool branches, Preston to Blackpool and Ormskirk. Update on the Just Trains Blackpool, Preston, Ormskirk route. Formation designer and suspension improvements. An update on where we're at with the upcoming features. PC editor beta initial thoughts. Spotlighting useful guides and some early on community projects. Photo mode showcase, your best screenshots from the TSW4 launch. Update on Xbox crashes, mods and New York Trenton. A patch is coming today. There's a separate video on a patch, look it up. Inside development, Train Sim World and licenses. Featuring Gareth Pete, a graphic designer for LNER. It's the... Woo. Phew. I think that should be few. That was exciting, wasn't it? Welcome to the first roadmap since the release of Train Sim World 4. So if you don't want anything longer than the TLDR, see ya. Otherwise, hang around. There's lots of juicy pictures coming up. Thank you for all your excitement, feedback and patience as we've released Train Sim World 4 into the world. We've been so happy to see all the amazing screenshots, free roam chaos and first forays into the PC editor, and of course start absorbing all your questions, suggestions and thoughts. We're still in the early stages of checking through it all. We hope this roadmap will hopefully answer some of those initial questions and thoughts, as well as sharing what we're working on to improve and enhance your game. In just the first week, over 800,000 services and gameplay sessions have been played across a variety of routes, so it's clear to see that you folks are getting stuck in. In this morning's roadmap, we'll be revealing our new German route, talking about formation designer and suspension improvements progress. Checking in on Just Trains Blackpool branches, Preston, Blackpool and Ormskirk, and summarising as much as we can that has come from the release. In this month inside development, we'll also be chatting to our friends at LNER to find out what it's like to have your trains developed into a game. Shall we get on with it then? Why not? Let's get on with it. New route, Maintelbahn, Affensberg to Miltenberg. Maybe it's Aschaffenburg to Miltenberg actually. Happy October to all of you, and happy German Unity Day to all our German players. We have a big fat Bavarian-shaped treat for you in this month's roadmap. Sausage time! Yeah, it is October. It should be Oktoberfest too. We can officially confirm that the first Dovetail developed route for Train Sim World 4 is Maintelbahn Aschaffenburg in Miltenberg. Congratulations to you eagle-eyed viewers who noticed our tease in the 10 things to check out in TrainSim World video from Friday. Looks like the route runs from Aschaffenburg Hochbahnhof and goes through Aschaffenburg Hochschule, Aschaffenburg Sud, Aschaffenburg Oberau, Salzbach am Main, Kleinwallstadt, Obenburg Elsenfeld, Glanzstoffwerk. That's what I do. Glanzstoffwerk. Yeah, there's some work. Oh, glance off that. Anyway, Erlenbach am Main, Worth am Main, Klingenberg Main, Lordenbach am Main, Kleinhubach, and Mittenberg. So would Worth am Main be a place where they make sausage? Because, you know, bratwurst. Oh, that's worst, not worth. Ignore me. Stupid German joke. Didn't work. Full of regional charm and featuring the new sleek DB BR642 diesel multiple unit, as well as being ably supported by the BR363 offering local shunter freight across the route. We can't wait for you to wind alongside the main river on this diesel Desiro beauty. Set in the modern day and layering in the red DBBR628, a recent addition if you own Niddeltalbahn, there's a lot of diversity and opportunity to explore in many different ways, particularly through the new and improved scenario planner and free roam modes. This route will be priced at UK pounds $24.99, US dollars $29.99, euros $29.99, so probably around the $50 mark for Aussies. Seems likely. We'll have much more information for you in the coming weeks, but for the meantime, here are some work in progress screenshots of what you'll have to look forward to. So we've got a DBBR642 labelled West Frankenbahn. What if it's cobbled together and started by lightning? There's another angle of the 642. There's the 363 hauling some log wagons. I think I've seen ones quite exactly like that before. We've got some log wagons, but I'm not sure if they're new or not. Photo mode's doing very well there too. There's the 642 sitting in a station. There's the dash of the 642. Max speed 120 kilometers an hour. So it's not going to be a fast route. It looks like mostly single line running. So kind of another Niddeltalbahn, I guess. There's another angle of the 642 in front of a fairly unique looking structure. Excuse me, still getting over a cold. There's a 363 on one line and the 642 on another, diverging from each other. There's 642 sitting in a station on the inside. Looks like a very modern train with those very modern and very uncomfortable seats. Got the DB carpet. I've got a 628 from Niddeltalbahn, the red one, layering in if you have that route. And we're on to discussing the Blackpool branches, Prest, Blackpool and Ormskirk. The Just Trains team have been hard at work getting to the latter end of development of the route, and for this roadmap we wanted to direct you to their development blog and of course how you can show you some nice screenshots. This time they're talking of all things landmarks, and boy there are some iconic places on the route. Check out the Blackpool branches blog. I shall pop a link in the description. The iconic Blackpool Tower. Big, isn't it? It's always good to have a big one. We have a couple of roller coasters of different vintages by the look of it. Look remarkably like a thing we have here called the Scenic Railway, which used to be called the Big Dipper, but they renamed it when the Scenic Railway fell over. Anyway, Ainscoe Mill. Big cotton mill probably? Woolen mill, textile mill, something along those lines. Ribble Viaduct. It's an interesting bridge. Quite a nice structure, bit of stone and steel, probably got extended at some point. St Walburge's Church, another fairly large landmark. Warbreck Water Tower. It's only the top part of those actually has any use, and everywhere else in the world they sit on a stick, but English? No, they build them like this. And in case you missed it, you can check out a little bit more on the route's timetable with a handy time-lapse video on the stations of the route with their handy development updates. I will put a link in the description to this video. I won't play it now because I'll get a copyright hit. Formation Designer. Work is ongoing to bring Formation Designer to Train Sim World 4. Your opportunity to create your own consists and use them in scenarios or free roam mode. And whilst our current priorities are supporting your launch feedback, we wanted to share some screenshots of how it currently looks in game. So this is a white Stenier 8F and a Mark 1 BG Maroon TTC coach and a 20-ton brake van. Did you know in Victoria, if you only had the brake van and the locomotive, it would be called a boner. B-O-N-A. That's its telegraph code for train or locomotive and van. Boner. So it's perfectly okay to write in the train register book, you've got a boner. Here you can see a sample custom formation within the new interface. Trains can be 100 vehicles long, but the longer the train, the more powerful you'll need the locomotive to be. And you can flip the formation, you can replace things, copy things, and delete things by the look of it. It looks cool. Some of the options available whilst creating a formation include the very handy flip formation option. This is what the screen looks like for adding formations. Here is the general UI for Formation Designer. You can see key details around your formation, including weight and power, to identify how you might want to use them in-game. Work is ongoing and will update in future roadmaps when we have more to share. Suspension improvements. As mentioned in the Train Sim World 4 keynote video, the team are working on what we can do to implement suspension improvements, i.e. include vertical as well as horizontal sway that coincides with the way you're driving. You can see a first pass at this in the BR Class 323 in Train Sim World 4's training centre, but we still need to add air suspension to the locomotive. It is very bouncy at the moment. Our train physics team will be continuing to work on what this might look like across the trains that feature in the Standard Edition 3 core routes, and as with Formation Designer, we'll update you when you have more to share. A new Aachen timetable. Work continues on the new timetable, which Joe is beavering away at. You can find out more details of what we're planning by checking out the August roadmap article linked above. Post-launch patch number 1. We're putting together our first post-release patch after last week's early access patch and wanted to share some of the content you can expect. Issues with Bremen-Oldenburg red lights, passengers not being visible on Peak Forest, Link Rheinstrecke and Lausanne-Sursee, Xbox Creators Club access, increasing the brake hiss from the Rotom cab cars, the Zoomer coach and gangways are now connected with electrical wiring. We're putting the final polish to it now so players can expect this to launch very soon. It's actually coming out right now. Future patches. Our plan is for smaller frequent patches in the early launch window of TSW4, much of which will be dictated by your early feedback. From our current lists, some of the areas we're looking at include, but no means limited to, haptic feedback being too strong. Well, it is a bit. Missing collectible on Vorarlberg, scoring, imported liveries from TSW3 missing layers, camera navigability, free roam crashes, Azuma AWS and motor sounds. Give us your best shots. We asked you to share with us your best shots using the new photo mode, and you did not disappoint. You can see the full photo mode collection, but here are some of our favourites. Player Captain Gunner Deep, showing off the Vectron during a rainy sunset. Pixelade, capturing the unlikely combo of an F125 and Austrian mountains on free roam. Maybe it went on tour. Player Nils Subholmvom, showing a foggy, moody British evening. We genuinely thought Richard Woodward's shot of Flying Scotsman was a photo. Phenomenal. The Azuma hurtling through the East Coast mainline, captured by Paintbrush Guy. And finally, Bent's 950906, making full use of free roam and photo mode to make this German locos meeting. Kind of a cool collection. It's obviously got a lot of DLC. The PC Editor Beta. One of the biggest changes to come with the release of Train Sim World 4 was the opportunity for Steam and Epic players to experiment and create their own content with the launch of the PC Editor in beta. We're very much in the early stages, and thank you for everyone who has been giving it a go and letting us know where your challenges are so we can tailor tutorial materials accordingly. Our first priority development-wise is to establish what does and doesn't work with creating the basic types of content, assets, scenarios, routes, and trains, and understanding how you play it and therefore which tutorials are needed. We'll be populating our PC editor forum with helpful guides and facts to support those giving it a go, as well as providing some masterclass sessions with our developers starting next week to help you through. It isn't an easy tool to learn, and collectively we'll be able to support each other to create something wonderful. As a first step, we recommend learning about Unreal Engine 4 to give you some of the basics that will enable you to understand our adapted version of the editor a little easier. Here's a good beginner's guide to kick you off. I will pop a link to this in the description. Some of you, however, are taking the lead, and to finish off this section, we wanted to share some work that player Feckrails has done, building his first simple route with tracks, trains, and some scenery assets. Well done. That is pretty good indeed. Even if it's a little short one, that's still pretty impressive. We also wanted to share the work undertaken by some players creating locomotives. Oystein's Nohab Di3. Check it out. There's a link to the forum. Spac 1043's P42 DC. Looks like a bit of a good start there. I'll pop a link to this in the description. Assuming that is a link to a video. Is it? Yeah, I think it is. I'll copy that link and put it in. Livery designer usability. Whilst this is a recurring theme of this month's roadmap, we want to work with you on the changes to Livery Designer and how you're finding and using the tool. Please let us know your thoughts on the Livery Designer feedback forum. And you guessed it, I'll be putting a link in the description. It's going to take a while this month. Community talking points, Xbox crashes. Our number one priority at the moment is resolving an issue which is causing some Xbox players to crash in-game. Thanks everyone for your patience as we're trying to diagnose the source of the problem. We're working on it. We don't have a full explanation of what's happening and why, but we will get there. We generally use what we call dev kits for our QA team to review new builds, as they, in most cases, are reflective of what you as players will see in-game upon release. Unfortunately, with the release of the compatible content last Tuesday, we've seen the retail kits, i.e. what we can access when certification from platforms has taken place, behave differently to our testing environment. In this way, our beta community were also not experiencing issues until the day content went live too. As a result of this situation, we now understand how to make the dev kits simulate the retail live environment, and we'll be implementing this into our testing plans moving forward. As a temporary workaround, if you're experiencing this issue, putting your Xbox console into offline mode via network settings will offer as a temporary workaround. You'll be able to access Train Sim World 4 without experiencing crashings during startup. Please note some users have reported it can take a short while to launch, up to 5 minutes, if you have a large amount of add-ons installed. Whilst this workaround should let you access the game without crashing due to being offline, you'll not be able to use services that require an internet connection, such as Dovetail Live and Content Creation Center or the Online Sharing Hub. We're updating this thread when we have an update. On my own Xbox, I've noticed that if you keep the number of DLCs down to about 5 or 6, it actually works okay. Beyond that, we will be updating this thread when we have an update. Yes, I'll put a link in the description. Note, we have held the Creators Club update for Xboxes so we can get the crashing updates live as soon as possible after we've resolved and tested a fix. If you would like to subscribe to the Creators Club content in the meantime, you can do so via our website. That workaround does work, and yep, link in the description. Player mods! We are working on providing documentation for modders in the wake of TSW4's launch, so hang tight everyone, thanks for being patient. To debunk one myth, it's less of an add-ons manager issue and more due to the fact that we've changed the compiled material format to support the public editor. It's not the whole reason, but it's a contributing factor. Essentially, core mods seem to be in reasonable shape, like God Mode, which we believe has a TSW4 update for it already, but content mods will need a little more TLC. There are some fixes that help them work better, which are in a future build, but it'll be an ongoing process. Texture mods, for instance, have a good response to the improvements in the future build previously mentioned. For the time being, we recommend that players who do mod content hold fire until we've been able to offer guidance, otherwise they risk their work going to waste if we have to update anything to support them longer term. We have a lot of modders in our beta community who we're actively working with to support, and we'll update as soon as we have something tangible. Audio, we need your help. We've had some lovely feedback for the audio work done on Antelope Line as part of our trip to California to record real-life sounds from the route and the F125. As we're UK based, getting authentic sounds for some content can be a huge undertaking for our audio team, so we'd like to ask for your help. If you have direct access to and can record real-life sounds safely and with permission, or have recorded them in the past, YouTube videos and non-in-situ recordings aren't what we're looking for, apologies. We've set up an audio we need your help thread where our senior audio designer Adam can chat to you about them. Thanks in advance. New York Trenton Performance. We've noticed some players have been experiencing performance issues with the NEC New York timetable with the updated timetable. We're taking a look at the source of the issues. Our initial investigations at this stage are reviewing passenger density, signalling computation and the bi-level cars. However, at this stage we're unable to provide any more information or detail. Any improvements would be backported to the TSW4 version of the new timetable when released. I found that when I put more RAM in my computer it worked really well. I put a video up about that and ran it for 4 hours straight the other day and it was good. We've taken a couple of your questions from our question thread to answer prior to the live stream, which we hope will be a regular feature of future roadmaps. MEMC83, what updates from all the extensive feedback that's been provided do you have planned for TSW4, if any? First up, thank you to everyone who has been playing and sharing your thoughts on the content in TSW4. During early access, it's really important for us that you provide us feedback so we can continue to improve our content. We have plans to provide regular, smaller-sized updates in the weeks after launch, with the majority coming from your feedback on our TSW4 core routes and core game features. At the moment, our priority is to resolve Xbox crashing issue, which is proving to be a complex beast, and then focus on other improvements. This should, however, not mean that updates aren't coming for other content in the meantime. Nate Dog 7A, regarding the improved overhead line equipment for TSW4, some have the feeling that it's too dark or too black in colour. Will this be addressed so it doesn't stand out quite so much? Also, the accompanying guide and support wires have not been given this treatment, resulting in graphical inconsistency and making the main overhead line appear to be floating. Regardless of whether or not the overlook is going to be tweaked for better experience, will the other parts of the supporting OHLE, overhead line equipment, be adjusted to at least match with the new look of the main wire? We'll be reviewing feedback from you all across a variety of topics. As you can imagine, we've had a lot of sometimes varying feedback across multiple areas of the game, and OHLE is one of them. We have no current plans to amend the other areas of the OHLE. The power wires are a relatively manageable change, while the horizontal spans and supporting structures would require every 3D model to be changed, a much larger piece of work across all routes. We're assessing the options available to us, but there are no promises at this stage. In terms of priority, we want to focus on things that aren't working first before tackling things like this. Inside development, Train Sim World and licensors. We've brought the Azuma to Train Sim World 4 and we've been delighted to see you all stretching its legs on the East Coast main line. So, as part of Inside Development this week, we have something a little different for you. The view from the other side of the platform as an approved licensor for one of the brands featured in our games. We invited Gareth Peet, a graphic designer for LNER, to tell us a little about seeing their real-life work immortalised in our sim. Gareth Peet is a graphic designer working for LNER, having worked on the East Coast main line since 2016, and who, amongst other design projects, played a key role in the development of the brand and styling of the LNER Azuma trains as part of the project team responsible for delivering the fleet. Hello, Gareth. Great to chat. Please let us know what your role is within LNER and what that entails. Gareth, hello and thanks for inviting me for a chat. I'm a graphic designer for LNER, part of our in-house design team. As a team, we produce a variety of designed, creative, anything from a business card to a station poster to a train livery, and we're proud to have that talent in our team to create our branding in-house. In the team, we all have our own creative areas which we specialise in. I focus on customer communication at stations such as posters and wayfinding, and working with our engineering team on train branding, interiors and livery design. How did you get involved in the railways and what is it that appeals to you about them? Gareth says, I've always had an interest in the railways going back as far as I can remember, probably spurred on by family visits to heritage railways when I was very young and my dad being a keen railway modeller with a large layout and a spare bedroom at home. I was allowed to look, but not touch. Fast forward to leaving college and living in rural Shropshire. At the time, jobs in a railway were difficult to come by. I was able to get an apprenticeship away from the railway and graphic design, another interest of mine which eventually became a full-time job and served me well for over 18 years. Commuting by train every day maintained my interest in rail and helped to kindle a real passion for good design in the railway. When you spend a couple of hours each day commuting with a designer's eye, you're always thinking about what you might do differently with some of the creative work that you see on trains and at stations. Eventually, the opportunity arose to apply to join the design team at Virgin Trains East Coast back in 2016, which was working in design and on the railway, undeniably my dream job. I consider myself very fortunate to have been successful in applying for the role, relocated to York, and have been working here ever since. For me, the appeal of the railway is a real mix between great people, both customers and fellow colleagues who work in our industry, as well as the towns and cities we serve, and the almost continual evolution and push for progress that our industry brings. Tell someone that you work for the railway and they'll almost certainly be able to recount some good experience or a happy memory from a time they travelled by train, and it's great to be part of an industry that can help to enable those. How important is the Azuma to LNER's fleet, passengers and rail fans? Gareth says, as our first new fleet of trains in a generation, the Azuma fleet is hugely important to LNER, allowing us to operate services for customers in ways that may not have been possible with our older trains. I know that for rail fans, as exciting as our new Azuma fleet is, it does replace older trains, which a lot of people hold in high regard and will remember fondly. On a personal note, I'll always be a big fan of the Intercity 225, and it'll remain special to me, both as a first model train set I received as a child, and as the fleet I was able to pay tribute to by developing our LNER take on its classic livery design last year. Back to our Azuma trains, and forming the majority of our fleet today, they are helping to ensure that we're able to deliver faster and more comfortable journeys for all of our customers and operate in a more sustainable way with a greater number of electric and bi-mode trains than we had previously. Our Azuma trains, and forming the majority of our fleet today, they are helping to ensure that we're able to deliver quicker journeys and more consistent experience for all of our customers and operate in a more sustainable way with a greater number of electric and bi-mode trains than we had previously. As a licensor, what considerations need to be taken into account when you're reviewing a representation of your trains in-game? Gareth says, I always enjoy working with companies who license the LNER brand and produce representations of our trains, especially getting to learn more about the ways in which they work, be it a physical model train or a virtual version in a game. What really matters to me when I'm reviewing any representation of our trains is the detail, whether it's a model or a game. Ensuring that it's accurate for the fans and enthusiasts who pick them up is important to me, and it's important to us as a team to ensure that visually our brand is being represented with all of the attention to detail as it is in the real world. I'm always glad when we're able to work with companies who license our brand and are able to provide guidance and feedback during the development stages to ensure that everything looks as accurate as possible, and I'm really happy to say that's something we're able to do with the development of our Azuma train in Train Sim World 4. What is the general process from start to finish of getting a route and train approved? Gareth says, looking at the route from a brand perspective, which is the focus of the team I'm part of, clearly there are many elements to the route which we wouldn't be in the best place to advise on. Our focus is on what I'll refer to as customer touchpoints for the brand, which are typically on our trains and at the stations we serve. All of the bits in between, as well as the technical aspects of the trains, we leave to someone who has much more knowledge of the routes our trains travel on, look and behave. I was really privileged to be able to work with Train Sim World 4 development team closely on the LNER brand elements that you'll see in the game, who made a brilliant job of taking our feedback and ensuring that our brand appears in-game just as it does outside the game. Providing guidance on how the brand appears in-game was a new experience for me, so I was really grateful for all the support the team at Dovetail gave to take me through the process of review and feedback. And after a couple of rounds of review and adjustments, I was happy to approve our branded elements ready for them to be used to populate the route. Specifically for the work on the Azuma and the East Coast Main Line, what kinds of things were you paying particular attention to? Gareth says, clearly the biggest and most visible part of our LNER brand that appears in-game is our Azuma train itself, and I'm really pleased to say the development team have made a brilliant job of bringing it to life. Being able to explore the train in the simulation, it's incredible just how much detail has been put into the model, from our striking livery design right down to the small details like our at-seat food ordering stickers in Standard, and even the very subtle differences between the LNER 80 fleet and those of the other train operators. Blink and you'll miss it, but the addition of a golf bag on the bulk luggage store label, and adapted from the default design to recognise the number of golfers we carry to many of the fine courses near our route, was some of my work and always makes me smile when I see it, so it was great to see it replicated in the game too. Away from our train, the way the stations appear in-game was just as important to us, and even though the Dovetail development team had already made a brilliant job of recreating some of our iconic stations in the virtual world, I was really clean. They felt like our stations through all the bits of brand that are added, like posters and ticket machines. Just being able to walk around the station in game and for it to feel just right was really satisfying and a great achievement to the dev team. How happy are you with the final product? Have you had a chance to play it yet? Gareth says, it's fantastic. The way our Azuma trains and the LNER brand have been represented in Train Sim World 4 is brilliant. You've made an amazing job of applying our brand and bringing everything to life in game, right down to the smallest details. Oh, he says the same thing so many times. I was really keen to get a look at the finished product, so I picked up the early access copy. Conveniently coinciding with a week's leave from work meant that I was able to have a good look around in the game. The experience that the game creates is so immersive, it's almost uncanny to walk around spaces I've visited so many times for the virtual version to appear so familiar. After several hours exploring the East Coast mainline in game, it's fair to say I don't think I'll ever make the grade as a train driver, though thankfully I'm happy to remain in the role that I'm in. Roadmap Livestream. Executive producer Matt and director community JD will be talking about the things you've featured above and answering your questions. This has already gone live, this one, so yep, link in the description. Alrighty, that's it for the October roadmap. So if you've got any feedback for him, chuck it in the Q&A thread. There you go. That's it, folks. Enjoy yourselves and see you later.